Hey everyone, thank you for joining us for this session of Keep Learning with Spokane Public Schools. Today's lesson is for fourth graders, but anyone is welcome to join. My name is Amber Smith, and I'm a fourth grade teacher at Finch Elementary in Spokane Public Schools, and I'll be your teacher for this lesson, and I'm so excited that you get to join us today. If you haven't seen the previous lessons, you're welcome to visit the KSPS website, where they have an archive of all the lessons that we've been doing. And sometimes it's really helpful to go back and relook at those to help build your knowledge and to get better at doing the mathematics. Today, we're going to focus on using the partial product to solve 2-digit by 2-digit multiplication problems. We're also going to show how that connects to the area model. For today's lesson, you're going to need probably a couple pieces of paper, a pencil, and your fabulous brain. So get those ready and we'll get started. All right, before we get going on the lesson today, let's warm up with a story problem. So I'm going to read it to you and then we're going to talk about some steps that we can take. Sasha and Naomi are training for a race. For 6 days, Sasha runs 4 miles per day. Naomi runs different miles each day, but also runs for 6 days. She runs 2 miles on day 1, 3 miles on day 2, 4 miles on day 3, 5 miles on day 4, 6 miles on day 5, and 3 miles on day 6. Who ran more miles? There's a lot of information in this problem. So what I always like to think about is, what is the question? What is the story problem asking you to solve? So can you think about that for a moment? So the question is, who ran more miles? So we're going to have to figure out how many miles Sasha ran and how many miles Naomi ran and compare those numbers. So let's try to pick out some important information and circle it or underline it. So let's start with Sasha. So Sasha, it says, she ran for 6 days, and each day she ran 4 miles. So let's think about that. Sasha, 6 days, 4 miles. What kind of problem is this? What is it asking you to do with those numbers? I see this thing per day, and I'm thinking about equal groups of things. So when we talk about equal groups of things, I hope you're remembering that means multiplication. So 6 times 4, we can figure out that Sasha ran 24 miles. All right, so there's part 1. Now let's think about Naomi. It also says that Naomi ran 6 days, but she didn't run the same amount of miles each day. She ran different miles each day. So she is 2 miles, 3 miles, 4 miles, 5 miles, 6 miles, and another 3 miles. So what do we do with Naomi's numbers? Since they're not equal groups of something and we need to put them together, we have some addition to do. So I'm going to take out each number that she has, and I'm going to start putting these together. I think it's interesting that she increased her miles each day except on the last day. All right. So hers we have to add together. I'm going to group them up a little bit. So I'm going to put the 2, the 3, and the 4 together. And I know the 3 and the 4 is 7, plus 2 more would be 9. I'm going to group this 5 and 6, which is an 11. And then bring down that 3 to add into it. I know 9 plus 11 is 20. So Naomi ran 23 miles. So am I all done? I don't think I'm quite done yet. I think I need to make sure that I clarify what the answer is here. So the question is, who ran more miles? And I'm looking, Sasha ran 24 and Naomi ran 23. And so I would need to put in a sentence, Sasha ran more miles. I could even add into that she ran 1 more mile than her friend Naomi. So that's just a quick little refresher on some ideas you can do to successfully solve story problems. Let's get into the lesson though for today. So we're going to be using the partial product method to solve 2-digit by 2-digit multiplication. We're going to review the area model as well and show the connection between the two. So let's get started with our first problem. Our first problem is 32 times 41. So we're going to solve it with the area model, and then we're going to compare that to the partial product model. So let's set it up, and we set it up in something that looks like these little window boxes. And then I am going to break apart each 2-digit number into its place value. So the 30 is a 30 and a 2. And the 41 is a 40 and a 1. So this is getting myself organized for solving this. Then I am going to multiply the numbers together like they're in a multiplication table. So in this box here, I'm going to be solving 30 times 40. In the next box over, I'm going to be solving 2 times 40. Then I'm going to drop down here, I'm going to solve 30 times 1, and then a 2 times 1. So this is a great organization method if you were solving 2-digit by 2-digit numbers. So 30 times 40, I like to think about that as a 3 times 4, and I'm adding in a couple zeros. Now the reason that works, if you're not sure what I'm doing there, is a 30 times a 40 is like a 3 times a 10 and a 4 times a 10, right? I can take that 3 and the 4 and put them together, which is 12. So 3 times 4 is 12. And then multiply the answer by a 10. That guy right there. And then the other 10. And that's how I'm getting that answer. I'm just doing a little bit of mental math with it. All right. Next, I am going to solve 2 times 40. So 40 plus 40 is 80. 30 times 1, anything times 1 is itself, and then 2 times 1, same rule. All right, so my next step is to add those together. So I'm going to take each answer out of the box, and I'm going to add them together like this. I'm going to add down the columns. And I now have 1,312. So that's a quick review of the area model. Now, we're going to solve the same problem with the partial product model. And we're going to compare these to show how they are so similar. So let's talk about what are the steps for the partial product model. So same problem, 32 times 41. And my step 1 is to set it up in a standard algorithm like this. So that's step 1. Step 2 is now I'm going to move from right to left, and I'm going to be multiplying some numbers together. So I'm going to circle them so you can see the pattern of how I'm working. Our first step is we're going to start here, and we're going to go 1 times 2. So 1 times 2 is 2. And look how that matches up with the same problem right over here. My next one is 1 times 30. Which equals 30, and again matches up with this one right over here. My next one, I'm going to crisscross over and go 40 times 2. So 2 groups of 40, which is 80, matches up with that guy. And then my last one is to go up and down this way, 40 times 30. So we're getting the same multiplication problems. We're just listing them now instead of putting them in the boxes like the area model. So it's just a different organization. All right, so first step was get it in standard algorithm. Second step, break it out, solve the multiplication problems, list them. Final step is add them together. So I'm going to go down those columns and add them up. And I get 1,312, which is the same as over here. All right, so we moved through that kind of quick. Now I want you to work with me on the next problem. So the problem we're going to try together is 45 times 39. And so our first step is we need to set that up in standard algorithm. So let's write that down together. 45 times 39. All right. Now our next step is to do the multiplication problems. So we're going to start on this side, and we're going to do a 9 times 5. All right, 9 times 5. So I'm thinking about that, and I know that one pretty well. It's 45. I could count by 5s 9 times if I needed to. Now my next one is I'm going to crisscross over and go 9 times 40, like this. I'm going to think about 9 times 4 is 36, but since that's a 40, this is 360. All right, my next step is to cross over the other way, so crisscross this way. We're going to go 30 times 5. And if you're struggling with that, if you're thinking, gosh, I'm not sure about that, I could list out 35 times, and I can add it together that way too, if that helps me. But I'm thinking, I know 3 times 5 is 15, so times 30 would be 150. And then that final step, okay, remember what we need to do? We're going to come up and down this way. All right, so that would be a 30 times a 40. So I'm thinking 3 times 4 is 12, but I've got a couple of times 10s in there. So it's going to be 1,200. All right, so I did first step, set it up in standard algorithm. Second step, multiply the numbers, crisscrossing, going up and down. And then final step is add them up. All right, so going down the columns and adding them up. 4, 5, 6, 7. So 1,755. All right. Our last one we're going to do together today is 62 times 48. So think about what the first step is. Can you remember what it is? Can you write the problem down? So you should know that first step is 62 times 48. Set it up in a standard algorithm, like so. That's step 1. What's the next step? Where do we start? Well, we could start on this side. We're going to do 8 times 2. 8 times 2. So let's think about that. If we know our multiplication facts, we're just going to double the 8, and that's a 16. Our next step is 8 times 60. 8 times 60. So I know 8 times 6 is 48, so that's 480. All right, then we got to crisscross the other way. We're going to go 40 times 2. So 2 groups of 40 equals 80. And then last step, 40 times 60. Last multiplication problem there. So I'm thinking 4 times 6 is 24. So that would really be 2,400. What is the very last step that you have to do after this? So 1, we set it up in standard algorithm. 2, we did the multiplication problems. And now we add down the columns. So I've got a 6. I've got 16, 17, 9, 2,976 is what you should have there. Okay, so remember, step 1, write it in standard algorithm. Step 2, do each multiplication problem. So go up and down and crisscross over. And then step 3, add it together. All right. And let's work on one more here, one more practice problem. So we are going to set this up into standard algorithm, step 1. Step 2, we are going to multiply. So let's go with 3 times 2. We're going to crisscross over for a 3 times 80. Okay, think of what 3 times 8 is to help you get there. We're going to go 8 plus 8 plus 8. You could write it on the side, 80 plus 80 plus 80. What do you get? You should get 240. Our next step is we're going to go across this way. We're going to go 40 times 2. 40 plus 40 is 80. And then our last one, up and down this way, 40 times 80. I'm hoping that you're really seeing that pattern. How we go up and down and then crisscross and then up and down again. And I'm thinking 4 times 8. I know that's 32, but we've got a couple zeros in here. So it goes over a couple more place values. And then our very last step is to add it up. So we got a 6. We've got 12. We're going to bring that over. 3,526. All right. So remember those steps of the process for partial product with 2-digit by 2-digit multiplication. I would like to see you try it on these 4 problems on your own and communicate your learning with your teacher. So your problems are 81 times 36, 64 times 47, 36 times 43, and 25 times 89. You can check your work with a calculator or by doing the area model. You can give yourself more problems. You can make up any 2-digit numbers and put them together and try it out. So I've enjoyed doing some mathematics with you today. Thank you for joining me as you're learning from home, and I look forward to seeing you again for our next lesson on KSPS. If you are looking for more activities, they can be found on the Spokane Public Schools Learning from Home website. Have a great day.